Everyone, thank you for joining us for Commissioner Status Update. It's June 4th, 2024. The time is 10:02 a.m. I'm calling this meeting to order. In attendance are Commissioners Matari and Duncan. Commissioner Brooks is excused. Are there changes to the agenda?
Only with the exception of just adding public comment at the end.
Yes.
Which you can do anyhow. So
We will have public comment at the end. So item 1, Justice Center update from Turner, Townsend, Heery with Mr. Mendez, please, and Mr. Staub.
Good morning. Dave Mendez with Turner and Townsend Heery. I've given you an update on the status of the budget. I'm going to have to update that after this meeting. We've got the updated cost information on here, so I've got the changes are update. They're current, but we'll update your costs and I'll send that over to you separately. In the items that are not highlighted are either approved, signed, or going to be. There's DC .13 that I've added, given you a copy of. I'm intending to sign that after this meeting because it's under the $25,000 limit. Ooh, it's right at, you know what? I was looking at the at a preliminary number. So this is just over the 25, so I will have to recommend that to you and have you approve it or disapprove it next meeting.
Okay, so the DC .13, it's not the 19,000 one?
No, it's the, yeah, it is 19. That's the number that I had going into this meeting, and I didn't look at it closely, so it's elevated. I'll need to get to the bottom of that before I recommend it to you.
How time sensitive is this? Do we need to add it to 2 o'clock business meeting, or we can wait till next week?
No, it's on the roof. It has to do with the mechanical system curb, so it's probably 6 or 8 months down the the line.
And so both of these sheets are for the same item?
Correct. Yeah, that's the backup. So it's the cover sheet is the Bowden cover sheet, and then the back side of that, and then the second sheet is the backup information for that.
Okay.
So what we still have, we're waiting for updated pricing and details. So DC 9 is roof anchors. I mentioned to you last meeting 2 weeks ago that we got information back on engineering, and we've reduced from 31 anchors down to 6. Well, last week it was upped by the OSHA requirements to 8, so we've added 2 more, and we'll get pricing, but it's going to be a fraction of what you're seeing, that 75,000. CCD 7, which is the update, the final update to plans for permitting, and some RFI answers, some shop drawing comments. I'm sorry, that's CCD 6, the final permit set revision. That was estimated at 20,000. It's probably going to come in somewhat less than that. So there's some offsetting costs that are being considered. So it'll be in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. The point and patch, the exterior concrete on the towers, that's a $15,000 estimate. I believe I've got final numbers on that, and it came in right around that number. So there's the DC 13, which I've got the wrong number in there apparently. So I'll get back to you on that one. The existing building, clear story windows that we talked about, that's in the judge's chambers and the adjacent office. That's the west face of the existing building. We've got that being priced. There was some back and forth whether that needed to be fire rated or not, and it does not. So that'll affect the price. Correct.
That will make it a lot less expensive.
Yes. It has to do with the square footage of window.
Oh, okay.
So since we're reducing what's out there, we're just going to have the top window is going to be there for daylight for that room. It changes the code interpretation. Wow. The next item is down on construction contingency usage, and that's the roof drain upgrade from for a temporary roof drainage. That one is looks like it's going to be a zero cost. So the contractor was able to come up with some different ideas rather than a $15,000 ad, that's going to be a zero. So that's what I have for you on costs. Just an update. I know this was something that was took a while to get going, and I'll just show you visually. So this is certified payrolls, the tracking, and so we're keeping it in touch with your office and with the contractor. So the green is good. The yellow is, there's still some questions on some certified payrolls. And the pink is, we've not received them. So you see most of it is green. So we're doing pretty well. Probably a couple weeks behind on certified payrolls, which you expect. They do the payroll, then they have to get the documents going through, reviewed by the contractor, then reviewed by me, and then they publish that. And then we have the originals then sent to your offices and kept for keeping of permanent records. So it's moving along really well. So I'm happy with that. And I can certainly give you a copy of this. I send that to staff, and then they verify when they receive the wet copies of it. So
Okay.
okay?
I don't need a copy. Do you need
No,
a copy?
I don't need
Okay, it's
But thank you, though.
Yeah, just my only point was reassuring you that that is occurring, and it's working well.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
And welcome back, John. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, item 2, Fairgrounds long-term lease agreement with Alexia Jordan. Lyford, Idaho. So that,
No, we're not quite there yet.
strange. Hi.
You ready for me?
Yes, is your green button on?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. I just can't see it from here.
Good morning, Commissioners. Alexia Jordan for the record with the Kootenai County Fairgrounds. Before you today is a proposed MOA for the current Fairgrounds facility for the term of 20 years with 2 10-year optional renewal periods, holding 7 acres aside should the county need it for expansion of other services. This agreement still needs a little work. Pat and Colby have been helping us get it put together. Specifically, Section 8 is one area I know that we need to address regarding insurance. We wanted to come before you and see if there's any other areas that you feel we need to address before we continue further.
Bruce?
Yeah, there was a couple things that stood out to me. What if the county needs to expand its footprint in the future?
Good question. Like I said, there is a portion of 7 acres stated in there that we could withhold. I know, as we've discussed in the past, that's always been kind of the acreage that you guys have hoped for or asked for. So I thought that was a caveat that might be helpful.
Yeah,
And that's subject to negotiation, along with the initial term and option periods. They can be changed if the board desires. We just
I think the issue is just, because it's so far into the future, and I understand what you're trying to accomplish with this, which is to have some stability so that meaningful investment can be made in the infrastructure and the buildings. But with that said, no one can really tell what the county's needs are going to be that far into the future. And so we don't want to restrict ourselves. If we need a little larger footprint, the jail has to be expanded, something like that. And then the other thing, which I don't really think is that much of a big issue, is just in case the county wanted to use any of the facilities, would we have that ability without any kind of restriction, for events and things like that? And it just doesn't say it explicitly here.
Okay, and we can address that, because I don't foresee that necessarily changing. We have had a really good partnership, I think, with county partners, especially the sheriff's department, in training facilities and whatnot, and we've not charged for that at any point.
Yeah, and I don't foresee that an issue for today, but many years from now, there'll be different players.
Right.
And someone will say, well, it doesn't say that explicitly. And, even though there are a lot of implicit understandings.
Right.
No, I agree that should be explicit now that you brought that out. And whether it's the sheriff's office or emergency management needing it either for training or an actual disaster or emergency. I think that should be spelled out. I know we already have an MOU with the fairgrounds for that purpose, but this would make it.
Well, this says it's kind of supersedes
Everything.
Right,
everything, so.
right. Yeah, so it should, circling back to that, it should be explicit in here, regardless of any other
Yeah.
agreements that are in place.
Yeah,
and then-
and if there was a county expansion, because at some point, this county is going to continue to grow, and it's just going to need more space, then you get into parking. Will the acreage that has been set aside in here, will that even be enough? And so I think maybe if there was some language that, where if the county could demonstrate, this is what we need for that next expansion, we can show that, and it's reasonable, of course, then, that would be an option for a future board.
Yeah, I think I can come up with language to address that contingency. And probably we may want to put a contingency in there about, needing to move the fairgrounds in the, say 10, 15 years in the future, if the county facilities need to expand into the existing fairgrounds to the extent that we may not be able to hold
Yeah,
the fair there.
I mean, my
Kind of
hope.
kind of an escape clause.
Sure. And the hope is that because we made the investment down here with the expansion of the Justice Center, that, it seems like the decision has been made, we're going to try to keep this area as the campus for as long as possible.
Right. Yeah, and I understand it's a concept of that, and, I agree with that, and, as Alexia has pointed out in the past, I think, having some stability to attract investment, in the fair for buildings and that kind of thing, improvements that, are likely to be needed, I think is certainly a good thing to do, so.
And I only had one other
No, you're fine.
issue, was just with the insurance coverage. I think it needs to have adjustments over time, because again, this is such a long-term agreement that when you go that far into the future,
Right.
500,000.
I think what I would want to do is have it automatically change in case of a change to those figures in the Idaho Tort Claims Act or, requirements of ICRIM.
Okay, as long as there's something that can drive that.
I certainly that kind of a trigger mechanism would be appropriate.
So would it be possible to have a workshop on the facilities master plan and some of these things that you say you've got these investors lined up for? Because I would love to see that, what, in particular, that your time frame is, and that, what it is that these investors are looking to do, straight away. So is that possible to have a workshop with the fair board and with the master plan and all that?
Absolutely, I'm happy to do that. We've got everything we need to show you, and right down to how much it's gonna cost, so.
Yeah, I just haven't seen the final master plan yet, so.
How would you like us to schedule that, and
You
what
can
timeframe?
schedule it through Michelle upstairs, and it's gonna be your time frame because you have a fair to put on in
I do.
August. Yeah. So I will leave the time frame up to you.
If,
Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask, because that'll be before the board.
Yes, the entire, yes.
So
the
they
entire
come
board.
before the board here.
Yes,
Okay.
just like transit.
Yep.
Yeah.
we'll probably try to do that sooner rather than later. I'd like to get that out before the fair happens.
Okay.
It would be great to get this wrapped up before the fair happens as well, if that's a possibility.
So just Michelle, George.
Okay.
Upstairs would be great to put that on our schedule. So, okay. Anything else? All right. Item 3, Idaho Transportation Department Letter of Support. So we're asked monthly, at least, to supply letters of support for all kinds of organizations, infrastructure, stuff like that. So putting this on the agenda is twofold. Number one, how do we want to handle these things in the future? Do you want to handle them all in status update? Do you want to handle them on consent calendar? what would you like to do? And then on this one in particular, are there any concerns with this particular letter? Because it's particularly addressing bicycle and pedestrian facilities on the I-90 and 95 interchange.
Yeah, I think, I think we should always discuss these things, at least to give the public a chance to understand what we're looking at, what we're thinking about. As far as how we approve it, a business meeting item is fine. I know that particular interchange is pretty significant, what they plan on doing. So I can understand why you would want to have a method for bikes and pedestrians to get through there, because it's a pretty big project. So I don't have any issue with it.
Okay,
In supporting
so,
them.
all right, so do you want this brought back to a business meeting because we don't normally do letters of support in the business meeting, but we
No,
can.
I mean, well, on a consent calendar is fine.
Okay. So we'll do this one in consent calendar, but every request for support you would like brought to status update.
Well, it seems like we probably should at least make sure that we have some discussion about it,
Yep, that's not a problem.
given how we kind of run through the consent calendar.
Yep. Okay, just wanted to make sure that I got that straight. Okay, public comment. Come on up, Ron.
Good morning, Ron Hartman, for the record. I'd like to say I think David's doing a great job on this Justice Center and keeping track of that stuff. And since he's doing such a good job on that, and has pointed out savings like the roof anchors, this window as far as fire code, it's significant. Both those are significant. And I think we need to have the same sort of process for the jail pods. And we need to have an update on both of those projects. And I think we've already seen that you pay me now or you pay me later, and the example of that's the elevator. So delaying having this man look at the drawings and plans and project isn't beneficial in my mind. He needs to be on board now. So that's my view on that. One on the fairground too. I definitely support what Alexa is trying to do here. And I just think if this festers, it's going to become an issue in November. So I'm just saying that I know it'll be a factor anyway in my decision come November. Thank you.
Ron, I'll just address the elevator. So it was brought through the design team, and it was not possible to move the elevator with the other aspects around that. So
Okay.
that's why they did not take the 50,000 in savings to move the elevator, because it would have significantly changed the other aspects in that area. And
Okay.
they
All right.
decided together as construction and design team to not do that.
So it was collectively evaluated?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, that's good reason to even support what I'm saying about the jail pod though, too.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Okay, anyone else? Yes, come on up, Linda.
Oh, you want to hit Linda, you want to hit the little button?
There. Linda Ryder for the record. This is way off subject, but, I put my glasses on. Our state legislature, this last time around, passed a House Bill 608. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's an Agriculture Protection Area Act. And I was just bringing this forward to hoping that you guys are moving forward with that. It looks like the county commissioners need to do a resolution, and then you need to form a committee which verifies that the land is actually being used as agriculture. So you've got a couple tasks that lie to your table, and it's supposed to go into effect on January 2025, so the time is kind of the essence. So I just was hoping that you guys were working forward on that.
Likely it'll go through community development and planning and zoning, and we have a process for these kinds of things, so, but thank you.
Yeah. Do you need paperwork on that? Do you have it?
I can, yeah, I'll pass
got
it
a
along
copy
to, community development. Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Right, anyone else? No other public comments? Okay, 10:22, meeting adjourned, thank you.